The reality for the 150,000 Australians who are living with diabetes type 1 is very strict monitoring of their blood glucose levels, along with insulin delivered by injections or pumps. But we're about to meet Professor Phillip O'Connell, whose research work will hopefully liberate people from this daily grind, this daily stress of managing their diabetes type 1 through using transplants. Transplants of human pancreatic cells that once inside the body will naturally start to produce insulin.
So type 1 diabetes is a disease often associated with children or young adolescents, so it's often might also be called juvenile diabetes. And it is a disease that's quite prevalent here, so it's 150,000 people that suffer from type 1 diabetes. And it's unlike type 2, where some people think about it as a disease where it's due to being overweight or a sedentary lifestyle. Type 1 is not like that. So it's an autoimmune disease where your body's immune system destroys the insulin-producing cells that live in the pancreas. Yes, it's coming up to 100 years since the discovery of insulin. Insulin injections has been the mainstay of treatment until recently, where they've developed pumps. And they have put in more engineering and more sophistication in pumps. But it's still, you're still giving back the insulin and not solving the problem. The other aspect is, if you look for evidence that we've actually had an impact on the number of people who get end organ complications, that's hard to find when you look at large studies. So if you look for kidney disease, which is the one I know the most about, the number of people who develop kidney failure from type 1 diabetes isn't going down. What we have done with that is we've delayed the onset of that, and we've been able to treat it better, but the incidence of it hasn't really changed. A lot of what's happened in type 1 diabetes clinical trials and in research is better ways of delivering insulin. So we've taken a radically different approach, and that is to say, well, it's the cells that are being destroyed, why don't we replace the cells? We've done a trial in Australia, I suppose more than about 50 people, some of whom we've had off insulin completely with perfect control, others who have perfect control on a very small amount of insulin. But what we've done to all those who've had a successful transplant is return them to a much more normal life.
How important is research?
The frustrating thing for me is I know that we could have a treatment, but at the moment we don't have what it takes to deliver this to the 150,000 people with type 1 diabetes in Australia, let alone the millions of people with type 1 diabetes around the world.